two teenage girls armed with nothing but a dusty-ass android and a plushie managed to outmaneuver a point-blank fade from Jogo, the same Jogo who just a few moments earlier turned these motherfuckers into some overcooked dino nuggies. To find out how Ghetto's girls bitch Jogo this badly, let's run it back to when Gege was first cooking up these characters. The twins in JJK actually pay homage to one of my favorite horror movies growing up. Released in 2003, One Missed Call is a Japanese horror where people receive voicemail spoilers from their future that play their last moments before death.
I'm in the toilet taking a shit.
The names Mimiko and Nanako are tied to two sisters from the movie that were locked in this messed up cycle of abuse, death, and possession, which triggered the events of the plot. The film uses a lot of classic Japanese horror tropes, and those tropes are what the twins and their powers are loosely based on. At its core, it's about something called indirect curse mechanics, meaning something doesn't need direct contact to fuck you up. But there's something else here. Think about all the sorcerers in the show that utilize these indirect curse techniques. It's basically just the twins and Kugisaki, right? And what do they all have in common? If you guess that they're all from the middle of bumfuck nowhere, then you'd be correct. So what's the correlation? I don't know. Before I put on my tinfoil hat and get all metaphorical and shit, let's talk about what we actually know about these characters. The girls were born in one of those don't stop the car villages that treated sorcery like a plague.
Burn the witch!
Which was a problem because both of them had access to above average cursed energy. This was a trait they shared with their parents who were likely murdered by the villagers. After being falsely accused for a series of mysterious deaths and disappearances, Nanako and Mimiko were captured, beaten, and imprisoned, where they would have likely starved to death. But this all changed when the Suguru nation attacked. Ghetto pulled up to investigate the disappearances, immediately clocked the situation and went,
Oh, hell no!
And bippity boppity boo, the village population is now 2. Now, I'm not gonna fully endorse what Ghetto did, only because there were probably other kids in that village and people who genuinely didn't know what was going on. But at the same time, it's pretty clear why this was a breaking point for him. I think any sane person would go apeshit if they saw 2 injured kids starving in a cage, and considering the mental state Ghetto was in with the conversation he just had with Yuki, among other things, it's like, alright big bro, fuck it, go off. Now while this may seem like a good thing for Mimiko and Nanako, it wasn't, because now they're stuck with a fully awakened psychopath who has a newfound fetish for murdering NPCs. It makes me wonder what it would have been like if Gojo had been assigned to the village instead of Ghetto. I'm sure Gojo would have still saved them minus the whole genocide thing. And hey, even if they were saved by Gojo and brought to Jujutsu High, they might have still ended up with the same mindset as Ghetto due to their childhood experiences. But at least they would have had that choice without it being forced on them, you know? Jumping ahead to JJK 0, the twins are now 15 and you can see exactly how much Ghetto has shaped their perspective of the world, with them claiming that even if Ghetto says white is black, they'd agree with him. I wonder if they'd say that shit in front of Miguel. We also get our first glimpse of their powers during this arc. Well, kinda. It's not much, but we do see 3 of Mimiko's victims who appear to have been hung by her technique. We also see Nanako readying her phone for an attack, pointing the camera at Ichichi, but this got interrupted by Gojo fucking off Miguel in the background. So let's skip ahead again to Shibuya. This is the most amount of time we spend focusing on the twins in the series, and in classic Gege fashion, it's also the last. The girls show up to confront Kenjaku in an attempt to recover Ghetto's body, but no dice. So they go with plan B, revive the most evil fucking entity ever, and then give him orders. What could go wrong?
A lot.
They proceed to force feed Itadori a finger which Jogo senses as soon as they unwrap it, like a fat bitch when you rip open a Snickers. So he pulls up and starts freaking the fuck out, like, how much did you feed him? Was it gluten-free? He's on a diet. Jogo prepares an attack aimed at the girls. This is where we finally see Nanako's ability in action. Now from this shot, we can't tell if she's pointing the camera at Jogo or she's taking a selfie with Mimiko, but if I had to guess, I'd go with the second option because she seems to be pulling her sister into the frame. The attack goes through and the girls seem like they're dead, but a few moments later they appear from the smoke with both of them seemingly drained either from Nanako's ability and or maybe just the fear of narrowly dodging Jogo's attack. And well, we know how the rest of this goes. The king of being an asshole wakes up, makes all of them bow down, gives Jogo a quick haircut, and then blasts Mimiko's fucking head off. Now I kind of expected this to happen, but honestly, I really thought Gege would have let Nanako live. And I've got a few reasons why this actually makes sense for the story. The moment Mimiko died, Nanako should have received a massive power up since they were twins. Their power was being split between them exactly like Maki and Mai, but with Mimiko gone, that bottleneck is removed. Now don't jump the gun and assume I'm saying some dumb shit like she should have been able to trade hands with Sukuna. Obviously not. But I do think she would have been able to escape, similar to how she managed to escape Jogo's attack. I know Gege had her on a suicide mission to attack Sukuna instead, but hear me out. If she had actually escaped, it would have led to this immense hatred and total need for revenge against Sukuna for killing her sister. Imagine if she was given the time to actually train with that new full power. I could easily see her showing up at the very end of the series during the final battle. Not to win or anything, but to give off at least one decent attack to avenge Mimiko. Beyond the fights though, I truly believe she would have had a change of heart about her worldview. People forget she was literally just a fucking child. She was brainwashed and traumatized. Letting her survive and actually grow out of that would have been a way more interesting ending for her character than just getting erased in Shibuya. I don't know, I just think it was a lot of wasted potential killing off a character here. But enough of what could have been. Let's get into their techniques. Starting with Mimiko, her kit revolves entirely around that creepy limited edition Labubu and a noose. While Gege never dropped a formal technical manual for her curse technique, the visual evidence, especially those 3 corpses she left dangling in the air in JJK 0, makes the intent pretty clear. The leading theory among fans is that her power functions through sympathetic magic, essentially acting as a voodoo-style proxy. By using the plushie as a medium, Mimiko likely establishes a link to her target, allowing her to manifest a physical rope around their neck without ever needing to touch them. If she hangs the doll or tightens the cord around its neck, it'll be reflected on her victim. What I'm interested in though is how she establishes a link to her medium. Well, I have 3 theories. 1. Similar to Nobara, she may require a piece of the victim like hair or blood to establish a link. 2. She physically marks a target with her own cursed energy to register them into her technique's range. The doll then acts as a remote control. Or 3. Mimiko establishes a connection simply by looking at her target. This one seems broken as fuck though, so I'd lean more toward the first 2 options. Now for Nanako's technique. Her ability is a lot more confusing than her sister's because it centers on her phone and how she interacts with the photos she takes. While Mimiko handles the voodoo side of things, Nanako uses photography as a medium for reality manipulation. One theory suggests Nanako captures a target in a photo and can then manipulate that subject within the digital frame by moving or editing the person on her screen. Others believe her phone functions like a video game save point. By taking a photo, she records her current state or position, so when Jogo attacked, she likely reloaded that saved image to reposition herself and Mimiko. One sort of complete theory that I like though comes from an anonymous user on Reddit. They think that her phone operates like a specialized curse tool that lets her capture and store cursed energy through the lens. Once she's got your cursed energy stored in her camera roll, she can manipulate your physical body through the photo using a form of sympathetic magic, like Kugisaki's resonance. Essentially, her technique is just the modern high-tech equivalent of her sister's and Nobara's. This guy didn't give an explanation as to how this theory would allow them to escape Jogo's attack, so I'll give it a try. I think the moment she snaps that selfie, she's not just taking a picture, she's saving a version of their physical bodies in its current state. Then, by pumping her cursed energy into the technique, she forces reality to prioritize the image over the environment. As long as she has enough cursed energy to keep the technique running, she can keep forcing reality to maintain their bodies as it was saved on her phone. This explains why they were absolutely fried afterward. They didn't dodge shit. They sat in a 1000-degree furnace and felt all of that pressure and heat. Their bodies just weren't allowed to melt because of Nanako's technique. And that's my theory. Hopefully that makes sense. But now let's circle back to that point I mentioned at the beginning. Why do all sorcerers that originate from the countryside seem to utilize sympathetic curse techniques? Well, I still don't fucking know. But hey, since some of you guys seem to know everything about JJK based on your comments on my last video, I'll leave this one for you to answer. I'm genuinely interested in reading all of your comments, by the way, no matter how stupid or rude some of them might be. Also, quick note before I go, my last video is currently on 16,000 views and over 1,000 likes. Now I don't know if you noticed, but this is only my 9th video. You guys are supporting the out of me and you need to know how grateful I am, like genuinely. As long as you guys keep watching, I'll keep making videos, so let me know what other anime or media you'd like to see me cover in addition to JJK. And as always, thanks for watching guys.